Hey everyone, JM here at Disciple Dojo, and I wanted to share a resource with you. I review study Bibles here and different Bible software. We've looked at Logos, we've looked at Accordance, and how I use those. I want to share with you about a resource that I came across through fellow YouTube channel Aleph with Beth. They posted a link to this. I checked it out. I absolutely love it, and I want you guys to know about the Bart Bible. No relation. So the Bart Bible is available in the Google Play Store, and it's by LK Software Design. The reviews have been great on it, and here's what it says. Read and listen to the Bible on your phone or tablet. Enhance your learning by listening. Study the original Greek and Hebrew using an interlinear display, which allows selecting only the lines you want to see. Click on a word root to display the Strong's definition. Search for a word root to see where else and how that word is used. Also includes the Net Bible, World English Bible, English King James Version, Luther German Version, Russian Synod Version, Urdu Version, Sindhi Version, and the Old Persian Version. That's a fun word. I like that. Old Persian Version. Anyway, this app has these Bibles on it primarily because they are free. They're either public domain or they're available for free use. They're not copyright like NIV, New Revised, New American Standard, any of those. And check this out. After listing all the features, which we'll look at in a second, out of all the ratings, it's got a perfect 5-star rating. Now, that's rare for an app to have perfect 5-star ratings across the board, but I'm adding Disciple Dojo to that list of 5-star ratings because this, for a free app, is absolutely incredible. Let's take a look at it. So I'm going to go in, I'm going to open up Bart Bible. Let's look at how this works. So I'm on Psalm 29. If I click the button at the top, it'll take me to the beginning or previous book. So that takes me back to the beginning of Psalms. If I click the next book, that'll take me to Proverbs. Now back on Psalm 29, just because that's what I've been reading lately. So if I click previous chapter, it'll take me to Psalm 28 in Hebrew. If I click next chapter, Psalm 29, next chapter, Psalm 30. So you can navigate the chapters really quickly. So if I want to, right now I just have the Hebrew. Let's say I want to compare the Hebrew and the English. So I click with 2 fingers and it brings up the text of Psalm 29. I've got the Hebrew and I've got the New English Translation or the Net Bible, and they scroll together as you're reading. Really useful, especially if you're learning or trying to keep your languages and you don't necessarily need or want an interlinear. 2 clicks again and it closes the split screen. Now, highlighting, clicking on a word highlights the word. And you can see briefly at the top, a box will appear that'll parse the word and give you the lemma underneath. It only stays for a short time, so how do you see it? That's just for if you need a quick reminder, but you don't need it in front of you the whole time while you're trying to keep your languages sharp. So if I click on the word kavod, which means glory or weightiness or something like that, it pops up there. Now, if I long click on kavod, a menu pops up and I can set a highlighter. So I can highlight the word kavod. So I choose which color. Let's go with yellow. And now it's highlighted. If I am like, I don't want that highlight, I long click again, set highlighter, remove it. It's done. I long click. I can put a bookmark here, come back for later. I can search for the word kavod. I can search for the root of kavod. If this was a verb and it's a different inflected form and I wanted to search for the verbal root, I could do that. Check this out. I can make Psalm 29:1 an image. Now look at the top. I have the text. I can put an image behind it, and that will let me choose from the gallery or the camera or any images. So if I have a background image that I like to make, let's say I want to post a word or verse on Instagram or some social media outlet or make a PowerPoint for a sermon prep, then I can have my backgrounds already loaded in my gallery and I can drop it right in behind the verse. That's a really cool feature, especially if you're teaching in a classroom or you want to show something visually, maybe on your social media where you do ministry. Now, when it comes to the text, I can change the color of the text. So if I move this bar around, it's going to pick a different color. Let me go with, let's say, a dark color, and then I don't want green. Let's say I want to do something like a dark red. So I pick the color, literally any color you want, click OK, and now at the top of the screen you can see the verse is in that color. I can add a shadow to it. Let's say I want a light drop shadow underneath. Well, I grab this, drag it over here, maybe something like, let's go there and see how it looks. I hit OK. Now there's a drop shadow underneath that Hebrew, makes it pop a little bit more. If I don't like it, I just click on shadow and it's gone. I can change the background color. Let's say you have a background of your ministry. You have a crazy ministry and like some weird fuchsia pink is your background color. I don't advise that, but let's say it is. Click OK. There you go. It kind of looks like an old Atari game graphics, at least on my screen. That's terrible to read though, so I'm going to just go back to something more neutral. So if you don't like any of it, obviously you can reset. Now, the reference is right there as it appears in the Hebrew text, which is from right to left. I can make it center if that looks better. I can also make the line spacing smaller or larger. When I'm done, I hit save, or I can share it, or whatever else. I can do a screenshot on my phone and I have it here. But that's a really cool feature, and it's useful especially on the run when you're on your phone and you need something quick. Definitely recommend it. Or if you work primarily from a tablet, this would be a helpful tool to have. So let's say I want to search this term, B'nai Elim. Perhaps you've been reading Michael Heiser and Unseen Realm and you're like, oh, this is like B'nai Elohim, right? So B'nai Elim, let's see where else this phrase appears. So I tap on B'nai, long press on Elim, and then I can do a search for B'nai Elim. I click on there and oh, this is the only time B'nai Elim is used. So this is clearly not B'nai Elohim. This is something different, perhaps, or perhaps not. That's where you would study and figure it out yourself. Let's take a more common word. Let's do kavod. So I'm going to do a search for the root kavod, because if I just do a search for kavod, it will probably search it with this particular Masoretic vowel pointing and accent marking, and I don't want to do that. So search for the root kavod, 203 entries found. Now, if you're getting old like I am and your eyes are not so great, you just pinch and it makes it bigger. If you're like, whoa, I want to see more verses, pinch it back down. Grab the navigation bar. These are all the times the word kavod appears in the Hebrew Bible. But let's say you're like, okay, whoa, that's too much. I just want to know how many times they appear in the Psalms. Well, you click on here, up where it says all, you click on the Psalms link, and now there's 51 entries. So you can see the 51 times kavod is used in the Psalms. That in and of itself, for somebody doing Bible study research, especially when you're not in your office or in the study or in the library or whatever, incredibly helpful to be able to do this on the fly. Let's say you're at a Bible study or a Sunday school class, or you're in church and the pastor says something and you quickly want to jump to the other passages or double check something. This is a really, really good tool. Now, if I click with 3 fingers, it will hide the menu bar at the top, giving me a little more screen space. I can navigate pretty easily, so I'm going to click that off. If I do 4-finger tap, it'll hide that audio player at the bottom and give me even more screen room. But I like the audio player, so we're going to hang on to that for a second. So I'm reading through Psalm 29, and listen to this. I'm going to play the audio for you so you can hear it. Wherever you play, it'll be what's on the top of the screen. So I come up to Psalm 29, and I hit play.
Havu l'Adonai b'nei Elim, havu l'Adonai kavod va'oz, havu l'Adonai kavod shemo, yishtahavu l'Adonai behadrat kodesh.
Now, this is really helpful. Of course, there's differences in Hebrew pronunciation depending on the dialect and Ashkenazi and Sephardic, but I mean, that's language. All languages have different accents. If somebody from New Jersey reads the Bible and somebody from Mississippi reads the Bible, it's not going to sound the same and some words are going to be pronounced different. So you have to keep that in mind. But this helps you, especially if you're learning Hebrew on your own. You're not in a classroom. You don't have someone getting the pronunciation regularly in your ears. Like I have this problem. I studied Hebrew 20 years ago with Gary Pratica, who was a phenomenal Hebrew teacher, but it was a condensed course. And we didn't have a lot of time hearing the language. We read it, and to this day, I can read Hebrew much easier than if somebody just speaks it to me. I'm useless in Israel if somebody starts speaking Hebrew to me. But if it's written in front of me, and there's Masoretic text because I'm a Gentile that needs the vowel pointing, then I can muddle through the text. Having this available is you're getting to reinforce what you're reading with what you're hearing. But let's say the reader, in this case, is reading it a little too fast. and I need to catch every syllable because the vowel pronunciations and the different pauses and accent marks that the Masoretes left in the text, sometimes it's helpful to slow it down. So I'm going to slide this cursor all the way to the slowest setting. Now listen as we read.
Havul Adonai bene Elim, Havul Adonai kavod va'oz, Havul Adonai kevod shemo, Yishtahavu Adonai behadrat kodesh.
You see how cool that is? You can start to hear, and in Psalm 29 especially, because it's about this rolling, thunderous voice of God, it's comparing him to Baal. It's basically taking a hymn to Baal and saying, let me tell you who the real thunder God is. I'm going to do a video on that coming up here at Disciple Dojo. But being able to hear it, Havul Adonai b'nei Elim, Havul Adonai kavod va'oz, hearing that and that repetition over and over, you hear these were actually songs. And I just think it's great. I've been listening to Psalm 29 in my car to try to get the rhythm and the flow and just to experience it, because it really does change how you hear a psalm when you hear it in the original language that every English translation, no matter how good they are, is still a translation of. So I love this app. Let me show you a couple of more things that you can do, and then we'll wrap it up. These are all interlinears. So if I want a little more help on the screen, I'm going to do a 3-finger long tap, and now they've inserted the interlinear into the display. So there you go. In Hebrew reads from right to left, obviously. So a Psalm of David. Give unto Yahweh, sons of the mighty ones, is how they render B'nai Elim, sons of the mighty ones. Give unto Yahweh glory and strength. So this will help you as you're trying to see how did a translation get from this original Hebrew to the finalized version that we have. And again, you can put the English translation on screen at the bottom. And in this case, it's the NET, the Net Bible, which is really good at telling how they got to where they got to in terms of translation. Now, let's say you want to go a little deeper and you're listening and you're like, this phrase keeps repeating, Kol Adonai or Kol Yahweh, Kol, Kol, Kol. What does Kol mean? Well, here's the word Kol. So it's rendered as voice, the voice of Yahweh. If I tap on the Hebrew, it'll bring up the Strong's definition from Strong's dictionary. And it'll give you the lemma, which is the actual word itself, how to transliterate it, Kol, how to pronounce it, Kol, and then if there's any derivatives or what root it comes from, Strong's definition, here it's a voice or a sound, and then the King James, how it's used throughout. Now, Strong's is public domain because it's an older resource, so it doesn't have all of the really, really helpful information that a good copyrighted lexicon's going to have, something like Hallett or Holidays, but it's good at giving a quick snapshot. So beware, if you're using this and you don't know the original languages, Greek or Hebrew, just be aware you're getting a taste, and you're getting a taste from a very old and somewhat outdated English domain resource, but you also didn't pay anything for it. So pros and cons, just keep that in mind. Now, Bart Bible there is an older lexicon called Brown Driver Briggs, which is a bit outdated, but still very useful. And if you long press on the word, now here's the BDB entry. And this does go deeper. Here's the entry for Kol. It gives you its noun, masculine, sound, or voice, and it's hyperlinked. So you can see all of how it's used. It gives you, there's the first definition. It can mean sound, like for instance, a human voice. It can mean sound like of a seraphim or an angel. It can mean the bleating of sheep, like an animal. It can mean an exclamation, the beginning of a clause, like listen up or hark. It can have a more generic sense of sound. And this is the key definition for this passage in particular, a thunderclap or a peal. And this is how it's being used in Psalm 29. It's a thunderclap, because Psalm 29 is all about a storm. So these are all of the ranges that Kol can have, and this is a lot of information right at the tip of your fingers. Now, just real quickly, when we come to the New Testament, it's very similar. Here is the Greek New Testament. If I want to add the interlinear, I long press with 3 fingers, and now here is the interlinear. So we'll go to Matthew chapter 1, and Matthew chapter 1 begins with the book of the genealogy of Jesus. Obviously, Greek reads left to right. So you can, even with this, find some cool stuff like, Geneseos. Geneseos comes from the root of Genesis. That looks familiar. That should sound familiar. Genesis, which is exactly where the Greek translation of the Septuagint gets the name of the first book, Genesis. Matthew's telling us this is the Genesis, the beginning. Just like John said, in the beginning, using the first phrase of the book of Genesis from the Septuagint, Matthew, in his own way, is saying this is the Genesis of Jesus. This is the beginning of Jesus the Messiah, son of David, son of Abraham, and we could do a whole video on that. Once again, if you tap on the word in the New Testament, it's going to give you Strong's number. I don't know that there's an equivalent of BDB for the Greek New Testament that's available, at least on this version of the app. So right now you just have the Strong's number, and you would need to consult another Greek lexicon somewhere. You can do all the same things you could do with the Old Testament with the New Testament, including playing it. So this is what it would sound like.
Vivlos genesios Isu Christu, viu David, viu Avram. Avram genisenton Isaac.
You want to speed it up because maybe your Greek is a little bit better.
Avram genisenton Isaac. Isaac de genisenton Jacob. Jacob de genisenton Judan, que tu sadelfus abtu. Judas de genisenton Var.
So those are some of the original language features available. Just pulling up the side menu list, if you click outline navigation, this is helpful. You can navigate the book in sections. So this is the Greek New Testament. These are the books. I'll go back to English so you can see what I mean specifically. Open the English version, go to outline. Now, these are the sections of the Net Bible. You can go to whichever section of the book by subject. So if you're doing Ezekiel, and you're like, what's that part about Ezekiel's vision of God and the living creatures and wings and eyes and all that? So you just click on right there, and here it takes you to that section of Ezekiel where he had the vision that was just mind-blowing. Now, you can also download different translations. So these are what's available. I just have these top 3 on my phone because I don't have a lot of space on my phone's memory. But you could also download the World English Bible, King James, Luther's Bible. There's the Spanish version, the Old Persian version, Russian Synod version. There's Korean version, there's Urdu, and there's some Indian dialects like the Gujarati New Testament and Old Testament portion. So I assume more of these will be added as this app develops if it takes off, similar to how the YouVersion app has tons and tons and tons of different Bible translations. Let me see if there's anything else we didn't cover. Oh, lastly, let's look at the settings here. So in the settings, you can display the English references, or you can turn those off. You can make it so the back button returns to the previous position. I like that because if I accidentally jump off of a verse and want to go right back to it, I just hit the back button on my Android. You can make it so long clicking the back button displays a history list. You can set the storage location where you want it, either on your phone or maybe on your phone's SD card, and then which files in your phone you want the audio of the app to download to. You can also have it play one verse, or you can have it, if you uncheck that, it'll just play through the chapter like we were listening to earlier. You can have it play the next chapter automatically, or you can have it stop at the end of the chapter. That's helpful in the Psalms, having it stop so that you know when the Psalm is over and can go back. You can even have it play from the split windows. So let's say you speak Urdu and then you wanted to hear it in English so that you can work on your English, or vice versa. If you're English in a Urdu speaking region and you want to work on your Urdu, you can have it play the 2 different versions. Great feature. You can keep the screen awake while it's playing if you want to be reading and looking and you don't want your screen's timer to make the screen go blank. And you can also have it keep playing in the background audio-wise, so while you're doing other stuff on your phone, the text can be playing. That's especially helpful if you're a more immersive audio learner. And then lastly, you can change how fast you have to fling right or left in order to switch versions, and the size of the splitter bar on the window that separates the 2. And then lastly, Disciple Dojo, our color scheme is green, but if you don't like that, you can change it. So this is what it looks like with plain. This is what it looks like black, which is definitely helpful, especially at night or if you're on a plane or a bus. I have it in greens. Some people may like blue a little better. And then this is a cool one, harvest. Give it kind of a parchment, but bright, sunshiny feel. Anyway, play with those. They may add more of those. I don't know. But I like greens, so we're going to stick with that. So that is the Bart Bible. If you want to find it, you go to the Google Play Store, you go to Bart Bible, and there it is right here, Bart Bible. There's all the information. And again, straight 5-star reviews. Only 110 reviews so far, but to my knowledge, this is a new app. So I hope this was helpful. Now, here's the bad news. This is an Android-only app. You iPhone users, not available. It's harder to get an app into the iTunes store, I believe. It's harder to develop iTunes-approved apps. And Apple just likes to keep a tighter rein on anything that is used on their devices. So if you want this app, you're going to have an Android tablet or an Android smartphone, I believe. There may be other workarounds. I don't know. I'm not techie enough to tell you that. I just wanted to show you this app, let you play around with it if you want, especially those of you that have a basic level of competency in the original languages. This is extremely helpful. Now, the Logos app and the Accordance app, we've looked at both of those in our review here at Disciple Dojo. I'm going to link those in the description below. Those apps do way more than this, and they have much newer resources available. However, those apps cost money to have all of those resources, and they aren't as immediately user-friendly as this app, at least in my opinion. So for something that's free, this is phenomenal. Even if this were a $10 or a $15 app, it would be well worth it if you're a student of the Bible and you want access to the original languages on the fly in the palm of your hand. Check out Bart Bible. Let me know what you think about it if you've had a chance to use it. And if somebody from Bart Bible wants to reach out and talk to me more about some features that I may have missed, or you want to do an interview here at the dojo about it, help get the word out, I am on board with helping, because unless there's some super secret shady virus that you've injected into this app that's going to make my phone blow up or give you all of my information or something like that, I'm on your team. So I hope more people download this app and use it, because I think it is really awesome. Let me know how Disciple Dojo can ever help you guys if by chance you come across this video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time back here at Disciple Dojo.